Alright, I'm in the mood for another video. Which, is it really a video if there's, like, anything to see on the screen? Because no doubt, I mean, my co host, the editor, I guess I'll call him for a little bit, he probably just puts up a thumbnail of the videos. Disclaimer, I don't watch the videos. I don't listen back to my fucking rambling voice here. So anything I say, I completely forget as soon as the video's over. So I don't even know what the fuck is on that channel right now where this shit's being posted. I'm just rambling like a madman, getting my fucking ideas out onto this hard drive here. But fuck it, audio log? Yeah, it's an audio log. Let's go for that for now until you actually see my face. But I want to do another ranking, similar to the Assassin's Creed one, about the best monetization strategies based on the game. I wanted to talk about the best tranquilizer guns and the Metal Gear Solid series because they're a good weapon. They're great weapons. When some people think of tactical espionage action, they think of like stealthily going through the corridors or a jungle and just killing soldiers left and right silently like a panther. But no, when I think of Metal Gear Solid, I think what is the best tranquilizer gun in the game? Not the great cutscenes, not the story, not the characters, none of that shit. What's the best, slowest, single shot, non lethal fucking gun in the game? So let's get started. Um, I have 7 guns for this list. We'll just start off with the weakest one. I'm not going to start with the best one because I want you guys to guess what the best one could be. And for number 7, the PSG-1 Tranquilizer Rifle. Now, if we're not including the one that you can get in the Fasudo remake, Metal Gear Solid The Twin Snakes, you get this one in Metal Gear Solid 2, I think, in Strut F, the warehouse one, whenever you're about to get the sniper rifle to take out some control switches for Semtex. And to be fucking honest, the PSG-1 Tranquilizer just, it doesn't really have that much utility, especially when throughout the entire game you practically had the M9 Tranquilizer gun. There was really no point to using it. Like, yes, there were a couple of segments where maybe you could take a couple shots on ranged enemies. Okay, you can probably use it to take out the guards on the platforms when you're escorting a certain character later on in the game. But beyond that, there was really no real reason to have the PSG-1 Tranquilizer except to help you out later on with a non-lethal run. But when you look at Metal Gear Solid 2 as a whole, it's one of those older games that predate like the rewarding gameplay of actually taking enemy soldiers out non-lethally. So you could just go through the entirety of Metal Gear Solid 2 and just shoot everybody. And the only thing that you'll be robbing yourself is a fancy code at the end of the game where you can type in a website back in 2002 website era days and fucking get yourself an emblem or some shit. I don't know. Unhealthy soda. But I mean, beyond that, like, yeah, it's silent. It only has 5 rounds in the magazine as opposed to the normal PSG, which I think had like, what, 10, 20 rounds? I'm not so sure. And it obviously had the same effect as a M9. Obviously, the rounds take a certain amount of time to knock out the son of a bitch. So it's nothing really that, exciting. It's just a range alternative. It's basically the equivalent to the stun rifle from Watch Dogs 2, except the only difference with that is with Watch Dogs 2 you have to pay for it, but if you waited long enough and got the game with the season pass, you obviously paid under $60 for it, which is kind of like not too bad. I kind of gauge it off that, like how much money you have to spend for it. And you can have it for the whole game, and you have infinite ammo for it. PSG-1 Tranq, you don't have infinite ammo for it. It's quite limited. And obviously with, sniper rifles in those games in the past, it was really hard to control it unless you were laying down on the ground or if you had a lot of pentazamine. So that gets rank 7. Fuck that. Too late in the game. Who cares about it? On to the next one. Now the next one, You may be wondering why this one got rank 6 as opposed to rank 7. But I would choose the Mosin the Gaunt in Metal Gear Solid 3. Now, I think the only reason why that one I feel gets a little bit more respect than the PSG one is that in Metal Gear Solid 3 that you could obviously tell, at least in my opinion, who knows, maybe my mind's a little fuzzy on it, but if I recall correctly, the Mosin the Gaunt had a little bit more aesthetics into the round. So if you shot somebody with the Mark 22 and you timed it, and then you shot somebody else with the Mosin the Gaunt and timed it, if I'm right, the Mosin the Gaunt did knock enemies out a little bit quicker. So at least it had a benefit with that. Yes, it wasn't silenceable, and the reload's a lot slower than the PSG one because it's bolt action. But, I mean, you could use it a little bit earlier, in my opinion. Wait, no. Roughly the same length. I mean, if we're excluding cutscenes, it's around the same length, so never mind. But I still think there was a little bit more areas, at least, to use the Mosin the Gaunt in, with, like, the wide areas of Grozny Grad to the cliffs of the mountain, and then later on when you're on a bike chase, you can use it then. There was a lot more times to use the Mosin the Gaunt as opposed to the PSG-1. Not to mention, in terms of being able to handle the scope, it was a lot easier, because at least fucking Big Boss in Metal Gear Solid 3 was able to hold that gun relatively well, depending on how well your stamina was. But beyond that, I just thought the Mosin the Gaunt looked a hell of a lot more badass. In the way of acquiring, it was also kind of cool too. You just gotta take out one of the bosses non-lethally, aka the end, and you get his fucking Mosin the Gaunt. And it's a great weapon to complement the Mark 22. But yeah, I mean, that's just kind of why I think the Mosin the Gaunt's a little bit better than the PSG-1. It does a little bit more damage, has a few extra areas where you can use it, and I feel it's a little bit more memorable than the PSG-1. Next, number 5, the Tranq pistol in Metal Gear Solid 5. I forgot what the fuck it was called, but it basically looks like a fucking Ruger. It's not too bad. I mean, if we're trying to base it off of in terms of accessibility and all that shit, depending on how quickly you can get up to rank 5, it's a pretty decent gun. Now, of course, there's different variants to it. There's like a carbine variant that can go under guns, and there's one that can shoot through windows. There's even one you can get online when you download an update for the FOB battles, wherever the fuck they were. You can get yourself one that instantly knocks people out. But in terms of the one I'm talking about here, I'm basing it off of the amount of resources you would need to acquire it and overall improvements, like spreading it around. And I think the tier 5 version is pretty good. I think that's the one that has... Fuck. Is it the one that has the built-in suppressor? No, that one takes a little bit longer too. That's like a little bit later in the game. I guess it's the rank 4 one, I guess. I'm not so sure. But it's the basic default one that gets upgraded a little bit so it has a longer barrel and way better fucking suppressor. But it's not that bad of a weapon. It's serviceable. Because obviously you're going to... In Metal Gear Solid 5 especially, non-lethal actions reward you the most. Because obviously you need to enslave the enemy soldiers to help bolster your ranks and get you some better gear. But I mean, there's nothing spectacular about the Tranq pistol. I mean, obviously, if you don't care about the resources, yes, it's probably the most customizable pistol overall. But since I'm a hoarder or a cheapskate, I don't really like using all those resources on something I don't really need. Like the infant suppressor durability. That shit's kind of pointless, especially the resources you have to put into it, when in the grand scheme of things, a typical mission that you do might only need 20 rounds at most. That's like half a suppressor, depending on if you have the gunsmith and you just slap on one of the stronger suppressors on there. it makes those extra resources pointless. And then, there's the fucking armor piercing one that isn't even an armor piercing effect. It only works on glass. There's very few instances where I think I even had to shoot through a plate of glass and knock somebody out. What, a fucking roaming truck? Here's a solution. Pull out your gun, fire at the truck, they'll stop, crawl, wait for them to come out, then pop a couple of silent shots off your Tranq pistol. There you go. I just saved you a few 100,000 GMP wasted on an armor-piercing fucking Tranq pistol. This isn't a rant. This is a ranking. Sorry. It's not a bad weapon, and the extra variants are kind of cool, but with my cheapskate ass, I don't really like using them. But in terms of like the rank 4 or rank 5 one, whichever one doesn't require that many resources, because I think the rank 4 one doesn't require anything but GMP. So, it's not too bad. It's serviceable, has a little bit more functionality to it because you can customize with the gunsmith. You can slap on a laser sight, flashlight, all that shit. But it's it just gets the job done. That's basically it. And in terms of looks, it's nothing really that appealing in my opinion. It's meh. But moving on from Metal Gear Solid 5 as the 5th slot. Didn't know I did that. Whoops. Rank 4. The Mark 22 from Metal Gear Solid 3. To me, it's more of a aesthetic reasoning as to why I like it as opposed to practicality. I just love the gun they used for it because it resembled a Smith & Wesson pistol, and I'm a fan of one of Quentin Tarantino's films, Reservoir Dogs. 1 second. Sorry, a little bit of an interruption. Family matters. But yes, back to the Mark 22. I just like the aesthetics of it. It looks like an oldie type of gun, and it just reminds me of the pistols from Reservoir Dogs, done by Quentin Tarantino. But beyond that, I mean, it functions identically to the M9 from Metal Gear Solid 2, except for a few differences. Obviously, you have way less ammo in the gun. You have 8 rounds as opposed to 15. And obviously, with Metal Gear Solid 3 and the whole concept of being able to remove suppressors because they have durability now, you can use it with or without a suppressor, but if you put the suppressor on, it does hinder the aiming a little bit, and you don't have the laser sight for it, so the aiming is a little bit more tricky. But beyond all that, I mean, I guess I just kind of like it because it was just an idea. It's like what a prototype Tranquilizer pistol was for like the military and whatnot. And it's like, beyond that, I mean, yeah, it works similarly to the M9. Depending on where you use it, knocks the enemy out at different times. It's relatively accurate, not that much, recoil from it. It gets the job done. It's kind of similar to the the Tranq pistol from Metal Gear Solid 5, except, I like the style of the Mark 22. And, what the fuck else is there to say about it? Moving on. Now we're into the top 3. The gold, silver, and bronze. And the bronze ranking is the M9 from Metal Gear Solid 2. And I guess to an extent Metal Gear Solid 1, but I'll decide whether or not to add that, bit of speech into it. Spoiler, I will. The M9. The reason why I give it 3rd place is because it was basically the grandfather of the Tranquilizer weapons in the Metal Gear Solid series. Before the Mark 22 made an appearance as the prototype, the M9 was basically the first non-lethal weapon in a Metal Gear Solid game. Even, the iconic introduction to it, with Otacon rambling about how, it can take down elephant somehow, and depending on where you shoot the enemy on the body, it'll take tens of seconds. It's an iconic line. It was the iconic introduction to non-lethal weaponry in the Metal Gear Solid saga. But beyond that, how's the performance? It's pretty fucking good, in my opinion. It's automatically silenced from the start, so unlike the SOCOM, you can just use it from the get-go without having to worry about alerting enemies. And obviously, I forgot to mention this with the other, non-lethal weapons, but one of the benefits of using a non-lethal weapon in most Metal Gear Solid games is the fact that, let's say you're aiming your gun, and let's just say you move the analog stick the wrong way. You accidentally shoot the guy in the shoulder instead of the head. The enemy's gonna get alerted to that. He's gonna call for backup. Like, holy fuck, guys, I just got shot at. Bring the fucking cavalry down here, y'all. But with a tranquilizer round, there's not that much impact force behind it. So you can just kind of fire and forget it and just wait for the fucker to go night-night, and he will be none the wiser. So that was one of the benefits of using the M9 in Metal Gear Solid 2. If anything, I believe the M9 kind of trivialized most sneaking situations. Yes, there is the obvious disadvantages of, it takes a little bit of time to knock the enemy out, depending on what difficulty you play on. But we're going to go off normal difficulty for, balance reasons. And someone else could easily wake them up. Or, there's a certain amount of time before, the enemy just wakes up automatically. But the fact that, it was automatically suppressed from the start, it didn't alert the enemies that much. And, it was a one-shot and forget type of thing as opposed to multiple shots. It was rather effective. But beyond that, what else is there about the M9 that's kind of cool? I love, the design of it. Yes, the giant, suppressor does look a little wonky on it. But, just seeing it from some of the images of Snake holding it, to literally seeing it on the fucking cover of Metal Gear Solid 2 with, like, the metallic fucking Solid Snake, it looks fucking awesome. It looks like a genuine stealth weapon. And, the aiming is superb, too, because it's kind of lowered down in the corner because you're using the laser sight to help you aim. I do appreciate that with Metal Gear Solid 2. As opposed to most games that have a laser sight, it did felt really precise using the laser sight on the Mark 22. And the firing rate wasn't even that bad either. It was a little bit slow compared to most weapons. It was like half a second at most. Kind of typical with most non-lethal pistols in the game. But beyond that, it wasn't that bad. It was still usable in certain boss battles. I think the only time where maybe using the Mark 22 would have been hazardous is when you're in a firefight towards the end of Metal Gear Solid 2, the hallway gauntlet, so to speak. Ugh. But it's a good stealth weapon. It was a good introduction as to what non-lethal pistols could be tranquilizer weapons. And yeah, it looks great. It looks like a great sneaking weapon. It's iconic in a way. Plenty of ammo, 15 rounds. Not much recoil at all because, come on, it's a single-shot weapon. Fire rate's not too bad. And if you're playing on normal or under, it doesn't take that long to knock the son of a bitch out. It's a very handy weapon. Now, obviously, again, there are disadvantages to, using a tranquilizer weapon that I probably should have mentioned from the start. But, yeah, it fucking works. And now on to the silver ranking. Now, I know it sounds like Metal Gear Solid 3 here is being mentioned quite a bit, and let's be honest, it is. But the gun in the second place is none other than the Easy Gun. Shocking, I know. Like, why is that not first? To me, the only reason why the Easy Gun kind of gets second place is, let's fucking face it, it's a cheat weapon. You use the Easy Gun, you trivialize the gameplay of Metal Gear Solid 3. And the only other reason besides the fact that it's a cheat weapon is that in terms of like playing the game semi-normally, like in terms of like when you can acquire these weapons and how prevalent they are during the course of normal gameplay, you have to go of one of two routes. Either A, you're a fucking pussy and you play the game on very easy mode to get it from the start, or you go the hard way and you play on any difficulty you want. And you have to do the challenge of collecting every single animal and food item. I think there was like 63 different items, but if you miss one, you gotta redo it all over again from the very beginning. Like, you have to keep a fucking checklist. It's kind of daunting. Obviously, once you get the gun, there you go. It's in your inventory forever so long as you keep reloading the same clear file over and over and over again. So that's not a problem. But with my case, I remember when I first tried doing that in the Metal Gear Solid 3 HD collection, or HD version, and I missed one motherfucking food item. It was a fucking mushroom. And I think it was a mushroom on like a fucking a fallen tree. It was in between after you met Granin, I think, in the research labs, and before you fight the end. It was in that one section in between like the water warehouse to the section where the end was. And I just missed that mushroom every fucking time. It wasn't until I looked at a guide, I was like, I have to pick up that particular mushroom that's in only one fucking area. What the fuck? But lo and behold, as soon as I got it, boom, easy gun, easy peasy. But yeah, beyond that, besides those main reasons that kind of demote it to second rank, everything else about the easy gun, pure fucking godly. Let me just go down a fucking checklist. For starters, infinite ammo. You never have to worry about running out of ammo. Infinite suppressor durability. You don't have to worry about taking the suppressor off. It's just permanently fucking suppressed. How the fuck Signet managed to fucking do that for the gun? Who fucking knows? But that's not even the half of it. It's the rest of this shit that fucking makes an ungodly weapon. If I recall correctly, it automatically silence your footsteps. So there's no need to wear the sorrow camo that, you know, reduces the noise that your footsteps make. It fucking what else does it do? It raises your camo index up to 80%, so you can practically wear whatever fucking camo you want, and unless you're like sneezing distance in front of the enemy, they'll never fucking see you. They never will. And most importantly, the most broken bit about it, beyond all the shit that I just mentioned, it recovers your fucking stamina. Like, Sigint even fucking says that. It recovers your stamina and raises your camo index. How? When I hold on to this fucking gun, does it just channel the fucking powers of a god into me? How the fuck does that work? I mean, fuck the fact this breaks all fucking logic. How the fuck does the easy gun do that? Despite all that, it's still a badass fucking gun. It has a fucking built-in laser sight, kind of similar to the M9, so aiming is relatively easy. And in my opinion, from firing at least, even though it's a single-shot weapon, to me it felt like the easy gun fired more quickly overall as opposed to the Mark 22. Could just be me. And obviously there's not that much recoil because, again, it's a single-shot weapon. There was probably some other fucking badass shit about the easy gun, but it's like all that shit combined. I mean, fuck. The infinite ammo and infinite suppressor durability alone was enough to make it a badass weapon. But it's the fact that, you know, like, once you complete this challenge or you play on the easiest difficulty level, you basically have one of the best guns in the game. And I guess another downside, too, is that it's a special item. So if you use it, you can kiss your special rankings goodbye. But I mean, if you already beat the game numerous times, you're practically using the easy gun as a fucking fun gun, basically. It lets you have an easy, non-lethal playthrough, and it's like one of the pinnacles of a non-lethal tranquilizer weapon. I'm kind of sad it didn't really get that much, you know, limelight to shine. You know, its only other appearance was in Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker. And it was in the vein of like a support weapon, like launching airstrikes or supply boxes. That was it. Or it was used as a recovery gun to heal people. The easy gun never made an appearance in any other game except in name alone in Watch Dogs 2. But, despite the fact that the easy gun is easily one of the best tranquilizer weapons in the game. Oh, forgot about an add function. It can consume it as well somehow. Totally forgot about that. Fuck that fact. Fuck all those facts about the easy gun. In my opinion, the gold medalist, the best tranquilizer weapon in the game, in terms of, being able to use it from a relatively decent fucking point in the game, having overall decent statistics, has great aesthetics, and overall is just an effective tranquilizer weapon. It doesn't require any extra bullshit to get or certain things you gotta do for it, whatever. In my opinion, that honor, the gold ranking, goes to the Mark II pistol from Metal Gear Solid 4. And I know, it's rather weird. It's like going from a Desert Eagle to a 22, basically. What the fuck is the reasoning behind it? And the only other reason I can give is that it's just a well-rounded weapon. It's kind of similar to the M9 in a way, but it still does a few extra things that puts it in a league of its own. Like, how do I start it? You get relatively early on. You get in the first act of Metal Gear Solid 4. Basically, as soon as you meet up with the Metal Gear Mark II that Otacon makes, he gives it to you in a cutscene. And from there, it just becomes your best friend. It still has the staples of a tranquilizer weapon. Shoot an enemy at a random point on his body. He may go out instantly. It's in the head, the heart, or the other hard appendage. Or it'll just take a fucking long time to knock him out otherwise. It doesn't alert them immediately. Or it doesn't make them all pissed off you shoot them with a live round. There's a decent amount of ammo. Blah, blah, blah. It takes them out non-lethally. All that jazz. But what makes the Mark II special is that it's a lightweight weapon. And what I mean by that is the aiming is relatively good. I know Metal Gear Solid 4 introduced the over-the-shoulder aiming, and that's where it truly shines. It's probably one of the most accurate tranquilizer weapons in the game. It's almost pea-size in terms of the reticle. It allows you to get off some very accurate shots. It has the built-in laser sight from the M9 and the Easy Gun, so it makes over-the-shoulder aiming that much easier. The recoil is low as shit, so you don't have to worry about the reticle jumping all over the place. Snake relatively racks the slide relatively quickly, or not the slide, the bolt, whatever the fuck it is for the Ruger. He rechambers in a new round relatively quickly, so the firing rate isn't even that bad to begin with. It has a respectable 10 rounds in the magazine, up by 2 from the Mark 22. It's 5 rounds less than the M9, but I'd say 10 rounds is a relatively decent fucking number for a tranquilizer pistol, as opposed to the average of 7 to 8 rounds it's been in all the fucking games. And on top of all that, even though in the majority of the Metal Gear Solid games, primarily when Metal Gear Solid 4 was around, it was Metal Gear Solid 3 that was the only other game. Metal Gear Solid 4 did have the suppressor durability, but the Mark 22 has a built-in infinite suppressor durability. So you don't have to worry about the suppressor durability on that. And on top of all that, even if you're playing on normal mode where you only have 50 rounds, once you beat the game and do a New Game Plus, you can actually have a theoretical max of 250 rounds, because now you get the ability to buy ammo. You get to buy emotion ammo for raging, crying, laughing, Who was the other bitch? Screaming? I don't know. I lost track there. But you get to hold a shit ton of extra ammo. I mean, on top of all of that, if we're talking about buying ammo, it was relatively cheap to refill your tranquilizer ammo in Metal Gear Solid 2 if you manage not to kill anyone. Because I think Metal Gear Solid 4 was one of the first games that actually introduced reasons to, like, not kill people. Mainly, you get bonus Trebin points, the in-game currency to buy weapons and ammo for. And two, spoiler, if you manage not to kill anyone, you get the infant fucking ammo bandana. So basically, there was no reason whatsoever not to fucking kill anyone in Metal Gear Solid 4 except if you wanted to inflate the prices for selling guns. But yeah, I mean, in terms of the Mark II, it was just an all-round great fucking gun. Now, given, you could say the M9 was is an on-par weapon, but I think the improvement to the over-the-shoulder aiming, the massive increase in ammo you can get if you're doing a New Game Plus, not to mention, like, the semi-aesthetic improvement. Like, I do like, the design of the M9, but the Ruger felt a lot smaller. It felt a lot more tactical, especially like the built-in laser sight, the semi-snake skin look to the Ruger. Just everything about it felt good. And I think it's because of all those reasons, in my opinion at least, that's why it should get, gold top place number one. But does that mean the other two guns suck? The M9 and the Easy Gun? Fuck no. Those are still just as fucking effective. I'd say any tranquilizer weapon in the Metal Gear series can be used to great efficiency. But the Ruger, the Mark II, I think that deserves a number one spot. Now, of course, I am obviously omitting other weapons as well in the tranquilizer categories. I know I'm omitting the Mark II variant from, or sorry, not the Mark II, the Mark 22 variant from Peace Walkers. That got some upgrades as well, especially in the suppressor department. I know I forgot to mention the M9 from the Twin Snakes, which was also a saving grace for the game in and of itself. And I didn't mention the Mosin the Gaunt from from Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker as well, because that got the upgrade for, fucking having a built-in suppressor as well. Or, God forbid, even the Tranquilizer sniper rifle, the M2000 or the Reznov from fucking Metal Gear Solid 5 as well. There's probably a couple of other tranquilizer weapons I didn't mention. But I basically wanted to mention these 7 guns because these were basically weapons you can get during the course of the game without any extra bullshit or hiccups. Not to mention, I kind of feel that, these were the first introductions for the guns, so I figured those guns would have been a better option to show off and explain my reasons why they got the places they got. But yeah, as a small recap, rank 7 PSG1 Tranq, shitty. Rank 6 Mosin the Gaunt from Metal Gear Solid 3, not too bad. Small improvement, but overall, nothing that spectacular. The Tranq pistol Metal Gear Solid 5 for rank 5. It works, I guess. Is what it is. Mark 22 from Metal Gear Solid 3. Good premise on the prototype for a Tranq pistol. Love the aesthetics of it because, Quentin Tarantino. M9 for bronze, 3rd place for Metal Gear Solid 2. It was literally the first tranquilizer weapon. Did a great job. Broke the stealth aspects, but otherwise it just fucking worked. Easy Gun from Metal Gear Solid 3 for silver, rank 2. God of Sleep, basically. And, gold, rank 1. Mark 2 from Metal Gear Solid 4. Just the best Tranquilizer pistol in my opinion. You know, just everything works with it. It's a great gun. But there you go. That's the 7-point ranking. Who knows? Maybe I'll revisit this in the future. Maybe I'll be more in depth in the future. Who knows? But I just wanted to get that off my chest because I was thinking about it for a little bit. Yeah, as you know, like the video if you liked it. Comment if you want to, roast me or fucking give your own opinions to what the best Tranq weapon was in the Metal Gear series. Subscribe if you like these rambling audio logs. Yeah, that's the manager signing off. Hope that's the last one for tonight. Ta-ta. Bye.